The sun sank low over Dusty Creek, bleeding gold across the wooden rooftops and kicking up long shadows that crawled like ghosts through the town. Folks gathered outside the chapel that afternoon, whispering, snickering, waiting. The rancher, Eli Ward, was getting married, and the bride was different. "She can't even hear a gunshot," someone muttered. "How's she gonna hear her man call her name?" A ripple of laughter spread like wildfire through the crowd. Eli stood at the altar, tall and quiet, the kind of man whose silence spoke louder than most men's boasting. His head was low, his jaw sharp, and his hands were still calloused from years of roping cattle and building fences. He wasn't the kind of man people mocked, at least not to his face. But today, even he couldn't stop the whispers. When the doors creaked open, every head turned. The bride entered, moving slowly, carefully, her white dress brushing the dusty floor. Her name was Clara May, a young woman from the far edge of the territory. Her steps were graceful but uncertain, guided by her cousin, who led her to the altar. Her eyes, bright as desert sky, darted from face to face, reading expressions since she couldn't hear their words. "Poor thing," a woman whispered cruelly. "She won't even hear her own wedding bells." More laughter followed. Eli's fingers twitched, his eyes hardened like steel. When Clara May reached him, she smiled, nervous but genuine. Her hands trembled as she touched his. Eli didn't speak right away. Instead, he signed with his hands, smooth, practiced motions only she understood. Her eyes widened with surprise and warmth. Then she nodded, tears glinting. The preacher stumbled through the ceremony, clearing his throat as the crowd continued to murmur. But Eli never broke his gaze from Clara May. When it came time for vows, he didn't speak at all. He signed every word. Clara May followed, her fingers moving like a dance. The laughter had stopped. The silence in the room grew heavy, almost sacred. Then the preacher announced, "You may kiss the bride." Eli did so softly, reverently. Clara May smiled through tears, and for a moment, everything was still. But the peace didn't last long. Outside the chapel, a few of the ranch hands, Eli's own men, snickered again. "Guess the boss married her so she wouldn't argue back," one said. Another spat tobacco and added, "Bet she don't even hear him snore." The crowd chuckled again, crueler this time. Eli stopped dead in his tracks. He turned slowly, his boots grinding the dust. The look on his face made even the wind hesitate. He walked toward the group, calm as a loaded gun. "She might not hear your words," he said evenly, "but she reads lips better than you read cattle tracks. She knows every insult you just threw." The men went pale. "And you know what?" Eli continued, his voice low, dangerous. "She's better than all of you put together." One man tried to laugh it off. "Now come on, boss, we was just." Eli didn't let him finish. He grabbed the man by his shirt front and shoved him against the fence. "You ever laugh at her again, you'll be finding a new job, and maybe a new jaw." The rest of the men looked down, silent. Clara May stood by the chapel steps, watching, understanding more than they knew. Eli let the man go, straightened his coat, and walked back to her. He took her hand gently. "Let's go home," he said. She smiled and nodded, her hand squeezing his. Their home was a small ranch house overlooking the hills, quiet, peaceful, far from town gossip. Life there wasn't easy, but it was theirs. Eli learned to communicate with his wife more each day, using signs and written notes. She couldn't hear the coyotes howl or the rain on the roof, but she felt everything, the vibrations, the warmth. The pulse of the land. She worked beside him, mending fences, tending the garden, even calming the horses that others couldn't. One night, a storm rolled in from the west. The sky turned black and the wind screamed through the valley. Eli was out securing the barn when lightning struck near the corral, spooking the herd. Horses broke loose, kicking and whinnying. Eli ran toward them, shouting commands, but they couldn't hear him over the thunder. Clara May rushed outside, her dress whipping in the wind. She didn't hesitate. She stepped into the chaos, her hands raised, her movements deliberate and calm. The horses froze, watching her, responding to her silent cues. Slowly, miraculously, they quieted. Eli stood in the rain, stunned. When it was over, he approached her, drenched and breathless. "How do you do that?" he asked. She smiled, touching her chest. "They feel fear," she sighed. "And calm. I gave them calm." He laughed softly, shaking his head. "You're something else, Clara May." From that night on, no one in town dared mock her again. Word spread fast, how the deaf bride saved the ranch in the middle of the storm. Weeks later, when Eli and Clara May returned to town for supplies, the same people who once laughed now tipped their hats respectfully. The saloon quieted when they entered. Even the ranch hands who'd mocked her once nodded their heads, humbled. Clara May smiled feebly, reading their lips as they murmured apologies. She didn't need to hear them. She'd already forgiven them. Eli placed his arm around her shoulders and said, loud enough for all to hear, told you. She's better than all of you. No one argued, not a soul dared to laugh again. And as they walked out of town, hand in hand, the wind carried the faintest sound, a church bell ringing in the distance. Clara May couldn't hear it, but she turned to Eli with a knowing smile. Somehow, she felt it all the same. And in that quiet, unspoken moment, Eli realized something deep and certain. Love didn't need words to be heard. It only needed two hearts brave enough to listen.